Some instructors compute their final grades at the end of the semester using a weighted grading system, and other instructors use a total point system. In this video, I want to talk about how to compute your grade at the end of the semester using a total point system. So it basically works like this. The way you account for different weights for different categories is by assigning either more assignments or more valuable assignments to those categories. So for example, let's say chapter test. Perhaps we had maybe 5 chapter tests worth 100 points each. So at the end of the semester, there would be a total of 500 points available for the chapter test. But if you wanted homework to be worth not quite as much as a chapter test, you might have 10 homework assignments worth only 20 points each. So in total, you would only have a value or total number of points available of 200 points from the homework. Let's say for quizzes, maybe we had 5 quizzes, just like we had 5 chapter tests, but you only made the quizzes worth 50 points apiece, so that the total number of points available would be 250, and that'd be half of what the tests are worth. And then lastly, the final exam is very, very valuable. Maybe we want to make this worth twice as much as a chapter test. So that one test all by itself is worth 200 points. So you can kind of adjust the weights or how much importance each category plays in your final grade, but it's done just a little bit differently. It's done based off of the total points. But nevertheless, at the end of the semester, you have a total number of points available, and in my example I have 1,150 points. So how do we compute our grade at the end of the semester using this type of system? Well, it's actually quite simple. In fact, it's probably easier than the weighted grading system. All we do is we'll take the amount of points that we've earned out of each of these categories and divide it by the total number of available points, 1150. So let's work through a real example. Let's say for the homework we do really well, and maybe we earn 190 of the available points, of the available 200 points. Let's say as we take the chapter test, maybe we get a total of 422 of the available 500 points. The quizzes, maybe we earn, let's say, 229 of the available 250 points. And for the final exam, maybe we earn 156 of the available 200 points. So we don't really do that well in the final. So what's our grade at the end of the semester? Well, it's like I said, actually pretty easy to tell. What we'll do is we'll take our calculator and we'll add these up. So let me take my TI here. All right, and we're going to add up these total points. So we've got 190 and 422. So plus 422 plus 229 plus 156. So all together, we accumulated 997 points. 997 points. So now what's my grade though? Because that's not a very meaningful number. Well, that was how many points I got out of a possible 1150. So what I'll do next is I'll take that 997 and I'll divide it by 1150. Now, before I push enter, let me think about something for a second. 997 is less than 1150, so this will give me a decimal that's less than 1, like 0.82 or 0.87 or 0.91 or something like that. So how do I tell like what my grade is though? Because that number is less than 1. Well, I'll multiply this answer times 100 to make it a little bit more meaningful answer. So if I got 0.82, that's like earning an 82 in the class. So that's why we multiply times 100. All right, mine is 86.6956. So that would round at the end of the day to the nearest integer to be an 87. And so that'll be my grade. That's how we compute grades using this total point system. We add up how many points we got and divide it by how many points are available. So if we got all the points, 1150 out of 1150, and we got a 1 and 1 times 100 would be 100. So we would have 100 in the class if we had all the points, but we didn't. We were a little short, so our grade is an 87. All right, now let me also, here, let me jot this down real quick. So let's say our grade is an 87. A very common question is, how many points do I need to get on the final or on this or that or the other to get a 90 in the class or to get an A or something like that? That's also quite easy to do. Let me mark out the final exam here for a second. All right, let's say we haven't taken the final exam yet, and I'll go back to my calculator. I'll take my 1150, that's the total points available, and I'll multiply this times 0.9. So what I'm doing here is I'm figuring out how many total points are 90% or is 90% of 1150. And it turns out it's 1,035 points. So to get an A, for the semester, assuming this is a college level class, and 90 is typically an A in a college level class, then we would have to earn, how much was it? 1,035 points. And so this is good to know. You can actually figure out how to get that 1,035 points a lot of different ways. If the homework and the chapter test and the quizzes are finished and completed, you can determine what you're going to need to get on the final exam. For example, if we took that A total number of points and subtracted away the 190, and we took away the 422, and we subtracted the 229 from the homework, the chapter test, and the quizzes, then we would need 194 points out of the available 200 in order to get an A in the class. And so you see, well, that's pretty tough. So there's more ways than one to skin a cat. If you don't want to have to score that well on the final exam, do better in the homework or do better in the chapter test or the quizzes, because you just have to make this 1,035 points in any of the categories, because one's not inherently more important than the other, except for the fact that some categories might have more points than the other. So to decrease what you would need on the final, just increase what you're scoring on your quizzes or your chapter test or the homework. So if you do really well on those, then you actually don't need to do as well on the final to get that magic number of 1035. So anyways, that's a little bit about how to compute your final grade using a total point system, and also a little bit about how to manipulate the terms around to see what you would need to get on a certain assignment to get a particular grade in your class.